Okay, it's recording.
Hi, Michelle. How's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. A good Sunday today.
It's Sunday. It's good to be a Sunday, right? You have some time off.
Yeah, some time off, so it was kind of nice to be able to move forward a little bit in some of my goals, and yeah, so it was nice. I'm satisfied.
Oh, that's good. I'm proud that you're able to make it through the things that you set up for yourself to do for this or for last week.
Yeah. I'm proud. I'm proud of myself. Yeah.
So, as we're working through this coaching, trying to be intentionally minded of the time that we use and trying to get better at it. Um, if we're going to try and keep this to maybe 10, 15 minutes for each session plus feedback, just really want to know, we're going to think about a little bit more intentional and think about what, who do you want to be and what do you want to be capable of?
Wow. I want to be. I really want to be now the best version of Michelle. Um, doing this coaching, and today I was, so like I said to you, I think our last coaching was on Wednesday. One of my goal was to write down the second talk, that the second subject of my talk. So the second subject of my talk um, a little bit about Michelle in Dallas. And the person I want to be is really somebody who's really a believer. I'm somebody who's really spiritual and a Christian, but really, I wrote sometime, talk the talk and walk the walk. I have this tendency, I think, to have a lot of good intention, but it doesn't really manifest. So I think that in some way I'm a little bit sabotaging myself. Yeah. So
So,
yeah,
tell,
to
sure.
summarize, yeah, be a better version of me.
So, tell me a little bit more about this being a better version of yourself. What does it mean to be a better version of yourself?
Um, I think it can appear like being authentically me, and accept who I am as a person. Do not be afraid to reclaim the light and my power. So it's something I am me, but I think in some part of it's something I do not really express it. I'm a former, not a former, I'm a recovering perfectionist. But it's true that having lived for most of, let's say, during more than 35 years as a perfectionist, to change it's kind of complicated. So now it's true that I do not really have my scheme of who I am supposed to be.
So, what was wrong with being a perfectionist?
Sorry.
What
The fact is that for me, being a perfectionist, everything needs to be perfect. And the fact is that perfection doesn't exist. And each time I couldn't attain, I didn't want to obtain an optimum, I wanted to attain the perfection. And the issue when you want to is that you're never satisfied.
mm,
And when you're never satisfied, you grow frustrated. So I was in some kind of vicious circle.
what was kind of that like aha moment that made you kind of say, I'm never going to be satisfied?
Oh, good question. What there was several. I think that one of the aha moment was really like listening to my virtual mentor, Oprah Winfrey, who was saying that everybody wants to be validated. Everybody wants to be
Everybody wants to be
validated. And
validated.
she was like Beyonce in your Beyonce-ness. She was really telling all those guys that she interviewed. And what the first question that they ask after the interview is like, was that okay? Was I? And I was like, whoa, if that person also have that issue, is that it's not me. But at the same time, is that I think I grew up tired. I grew up tired because it was waiting on me, waiting, putting a weight on me. So yes, for me it wasn't good, and I wanted to, yeah, to be satisfied, a little bit of happiness. So yeah, that's why yeah, and I think everything that turned with when you turn a decade, um, growing, becoming older, it's also the thing that okay, I really want to change also.
So, to clarify, um, your ideal self is looking for optimal versus perfection, being finding satisfaction.
Yeah, my ideal self, yeah, will be looking for the optimum version that I can be and be it. Um, in the sense that I was talking with my friend about something that was totally trivial, but it seems that sometimes when I do things, I appear to be like, don't know the word in English, like negligé. Negligé for you is like some kind of lingerie, but, but for us, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the word in English at the same time. Word reference. Yeah, it's like you do not care. Really like it's not improper, but it's something like you do not really care. And something sometimes I care, but I do not look like it.
Hmm.
So, for example, on Friday, I put a short, and I think I put a t-shirt. And my friend was like, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going at work." And she was like, "I'm sorry, do you go at work like that in Dallas?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "No, no, 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 no. You're in New York. You do not go at work like that." And I was like, "Yeah," but she was like, "No, uh, I do not feel comfortable letting you getting out of the house." And it wasn't really because she was like, you have sometimes people who are like, "Oh no, I never wear like that." But she was really like, "No, you're providing where I was of things like that." She was like, "No, you also need to be aware of how you dress, how you're going to be perceived. And the way you're going to be perceived, dressed like as you are, is not professional. You cannot afford that." And it's true. So sorry, I'm still looking for um and yeah, I have this tendency. She was recalling also some time where I go somewhere and I dress, but you really see that I do not really make this kind of effort was going to be like this change. There's still this part like I don't care.
Hmm.
And the worst part is that I do not care, but you have this, yeah, I can give this impression not to care.
That's really interesting. So is this a byproduct of you trying not to be a perfectionist?
No, even when I was a perfectionist, I was like that. That's the thing that's super interesting. So I really think that it's something like self-sabotaging myself. um yes, some kind of self-sabotage, because I think that sometime I remember one coach told me that the sentence that a lot of people attribute to Nelson Mandela, that it's really from Mary. I don't know if you know the author Marianne Williamson. That
No.
we are what we are afraid is our own light. A lot of people are afraid of their own light. So in order, I think sometimes to self-sabotage myself, I neglect myself. Negligee is neglect. I neglect
Okay.
myself, and it can be neglected for a date, for example, where I would not wear. I do not wear makeup usually, but I will not wear makeup because maybe it will have been an excuse for somebody not to
Hmm.
reject me. So yeah, I have this tendency. Yeah.
Okay. So that makes me want to know a little bit more about what to you equals optimal.
Having assets or having advantage. And I would say from a spiritual standpoint that God gave me gifts and manifest them, exercise them, do them, and that's the optimum. At least benefit from the gift, not at the perfection, but do as the best that I can. And it's not something that I do or manifest now.
So, what are some of these gifts that, if I'm not mistaken, it sounds like you're not manifesting them and you're not showing them?
I would say I'm doing the talk now, but I'm writing, talking. Um, I would say it's horrible what I'm going to say, but just being Michelle. When I'm saying that, living is something that I do not know. I do not do. Sorry.
What does it mean to be Michelle? Like, try to give me
Uh,
something like kind of concrete of these either gifts
being
or
somebody that was gifted, and yeah, I'm always playing small. I'm always playing small. So, for example, we talked during prior coaching, being in the company and do not express myself, even though I know that um, it's not just not to be bothered because of the situation, but because I do not want people to see or to feel that I'm superior to them. You know,
you want them to see or feel that you're
superior, that I'm
superior.
yeah, superior.
Huh.
No, not superior, but more intelligent, which I am, and more competent sometimes. But yeah, there's this thing that I do not want to. I'm always shrinking myself. So when I say being me, it's not shrink myself. It's really express who I am, and this work I do not shrink myself, but at the same time I do not express myself. I do a good job, but I think I can do much more. And I think that talking to you, I realize that staying there, it's also a part of shrinking myself, not being me. And I also think that one of the things that I talked to you since 2 weeks, wanting to quit and not doing it. I think also that I do not work on my plan B because it's expressing and being myself and shine my light. And I think by doing that, I'm afraid. So I prefer, yeah, I have this impression that it's, yes, there is a little bit of the imposter syndrome, but there's a lot of, yes, if I am me, I'm going to be rejected.
Mm. And what is the worst that could happen if you were yourself and you got rejected?
I do not want to. I think I've been rejected too many times in my life. And yeah, it's interesting. This morning I went to church and the priest told that he was like, sometimes we have been so hurt that we built a wall. But the issue is that the wall at some point, indeed, it protects us, but it prevents us also to move forward. And now I think that my wall is preventing me to move forward.
So it sounds like you're protecting yourself from being hurt, from being rejected.
Yeah.
And that's what that wall is doing, but it also prevents you from trying things that you really want to try.
Yes, I think yeah, this fear of unknown, yes, is preventing. Yeah, it's preventing me to try or just to do things. I always do, but with the safety net, which is good. But at the same point, I was writing today that I just thought I was like, no, the word is like, I was writing to a friend and I was like, I wanted to write, I'm dying. I'm dying. But at some point I was like, sorry, because sometimes I use work really, uh, décret, yeah, okay, I found it. And so the word that I changed dying for is decay.
Mm.
That's decay. Decrepitude. You have the same word, decrepitude. And I was
Mm-hmm.
telling her that, yeah, because at some point she was like, okay, but regarding your work, what's happening? And I was like, I'm dying. And after that, I was like, no, I'm not going to write that because it's really hot. And I'm like, I'm decaying. That work.
Mm.
So yeah, I want to repair myself in order not to decay.
So, what are your strengths?
What are my strengths? Uh, I'm clever. I'm I am resilient. I am I'm funny. I'm articulate. Uh, yeah, those are my strengths that can help me move forward. Yeah.
And what are things that you want to improve on? Or what are your weaknesses? Probably the better
Oh,
question.
my weakness. Lack of self assurance, I think, and I would say also, which is super funny, but it's true. I cannot lie. Lack of faith.
Lack of
Faith.
lack of pay?
No, faith. Faith.
Faith. Okay.
Yeah. Lack of faith.
Is that faith in yourself or faith in God?
That's interesting. I think that it's going to appear totally holistic, but it's faith of the God in me, of the God in me. So yeah, it will be that. How I will summarize that.
And do you think that others see your strengths?
I think a lot of people see my strength and just see my strengths. They do not see the yes, the insecurity of lack of faith. A lot of people, yeah, they stop to that. And in addition, I think that being a black woman, it's like we I have that stamp already of that. Usually, black women and women of color, that's one of the, I will not say a bias, but that's one of the attributes. And yeah,
And how would you want to improve this gap between your skills and your abilities?
um, I would like to take more action about those yeah, what action I'm thinking about it. So I was thinking about affirmation. I have some affirmation that I wrote a little bit everywhere at my place. um, so I think, yeah, self affirmation, meditation a little bit, and spend a little bit more time with me, not doing something. Really schedule like those me. When I say me time, it's really those silence time. I do that a little bit when I'm since I arrived in New York. I start this week like being in the subway, maybe between two stations, not doing anything. Like really, like, yeah, be calm. Yeah. So yeah, that will be some of the things that I can do.
And so it sounds to me like what you're saying is by meditating and by reaffirming yourself, um, and also doing things that you said you're going to do and taking those actions, these are things that you're going to do to help improve your self assurance and your lack of faith in yourself.
Yes, by doing. Um, One of the things that I was reading and repeating myself, and I was like, and thank you for this because I'm thinking at the same time, it's like faith without act is dead. And
Hmm.
it's one of the words in the Bible, but it's true. I need to act more on that. Yeah.
So, what are some, you mentioned a few actions, but what are some other actions that you're going to take to, um, sorry, let me take that back, strike
Mhm.
that question from the record. um, what are additional thoughts or behaviors that you need to do?
being more transparent also about certain thing, because the fact that I seems to have it. No, I think that the first thing is to remind that there are certain things that are going well for me, because it's true. And I think that not being, I will not say grateful like they say, but being aware that I have a house, I have, those kind of thing. Because it's true also that sometimes people look at me and they're like, oh, you've done that, oh, you've done that, oh. And you're like, yeah, but for me, because there's no physical and tangible manifestation, I do not feel like that. But always being like, well, yeah, I have that. Yeah, I do that. Yes, I live in the US. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I'm working here. Even me, it will be like, yeah, I'm bored at my job. Yeah, I live in the US, but I do not have a green card. Yes, but but I see the but I do not see what precedes the but. So I think the first step
Mm.
will be also sometime to, in those 5 minutes per day, to just remind the first part of what I have and what is good. And the second part will be also to act on what I want. And to go back to what I was saying to you, by being vulnerable, it was, and walk the walk and talk the talk. It will be, for example, being more vulnerable, um, maybe saying more to people that I want to move forward in my life. I want to do that. Not being ashamed of telling some of my truth, and yeah, and just do it like say.
So now that we've kind of talked about um, where you want to be, which is the optimal self, and that includes um, sorry, that includes things like not being as perfectionist. That includes writing, not being afraid to speak your truth, and not being afraid to say what you feel, and being showing up more confident than you are right now. So, not saying you're not being confident, but showing up a bit
Mm-hmm.
more of that confidence, and not being as afraid to for rejection. And then you've said that how you're going to work those out is some of the things with more self affirmation, more appreciativeness of what you have already accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also meditating and taking a little bit of time to be a little quiet for yourself. What does that look like? Because like these are like things that you plan to do, but what does that look like as an actual plan?
So I think that I'm going to put on my phone, like, I don't know, maybe at a certain hour, like maybe 7, like 7, like to stop everything and do those things for 5 minutes, like silence, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and affirmation. But in order for me that is become a routine, set up an alarm on my phone, and this, I don't know, it's going to be meeting me. Yeah, meeting me. I think I'm going to do that, like meeting me um, at a time, every day, but really like putting that on so Wednesday, when I'm going to go back home from, so on my Alexa, I'm going to put that on my phone first, but on my Alexa, really to be like, okay, meet yourself. Yeah. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to call it. I'm going to start with 5 minutes and increase that little by little, but I need to, yeah.
And how would self affirmation look? Because that's the meditation piece, but how does the self affirmation look for you?
Um, so I was listening to something, and what she was saying is that to write every day a word or something, and keep it maybe on my phone or something like that, but keep it all the day, all day. Or have some cards that you can to read it, like, I am. I become. I choose to. I have one or two in my phone, but those are really things that I did like 2 or 3 years ago. 2 2 years, yeah, 2 years ago. But really, every day, maybe I will have new one. Some will resonate more a day or another one. But yeah, put them, record them, or write it down.
And how will not being as afraid of rejection look for you?
What? Do not be afraid. It's to be bold. I think it's more like it's the feeling of at least I done it. So do something, being rejected, but being like, at least I done it. That's good. You do not stay in that thing that you never know or regret. Yeah.
Mm. So that sounds like trying not to live with the regrets when
Yeah,
you do
but
something and not regret that you didn't
yeah,
do
but
it.
more than try not to do it. I think that now my it's going to be more going toward action without uh, fear.
Action without
So
fear.
yeah, so oh no, really the definition of courage, which will be like action fear, despite fear.
Action despite fear. I like that. I like that. Um, so you've got three things it sounds like that you can do. Um, is this something you can commit to, or are we talking to
Yeah, I
talk?
think that I can commit that to send you a text on Wednesday telling you that I did a reminder on my Alexa. Uh, from tomorrow, I will do my best. Um, Start scheduling these 5 minutes with me. But on Wednesday, I will I want to be able to provide you with, okay, I schedule an Alexa note on that time to spend 5 minutes with me at least for 10 days or 2 weeks. I'm going to say 2 weeks, 5 minutes. Um, Meditation of Oprah and Deepak start in 10 days, so I'm going to be able to meditate at least for 21 days. They have Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey have a 3 weeks meditation that they do every trimester,
Okay.
and it's a guided meditation. So
Hmm.
super good. I do that for since 5 years. But it's still after that I have this tendency to forget. So yeah, but really this 5 minutes is going to be super important, and to have really affirmation that I do or say every day, like having a word of the day or a word of the week, and maybe um, but it's going to be too much being like at the end of the week I review what were the words and what, yeah, and my progress, monitor my progress. But I'm not going to commit to that because I'm not sure I'm going to do it. So, but first, really, the commitment will be really like these 5 minutes.
Okay. So coming to the 5 minutes. And who do you have in your life that can help you to um, commit and
Mm.
support these new habits and these things?
Not a lot of people, I must admit. I have a coach, so she's already committing because I didn't even do my homework for next week, but I'm going to do it on Monday, on Wednesday. I have a coach, but it's true that after it's kind of challenging for me, I must admit, um, to have somebody. So I can ask you to be my accountability partner, but it's true that yeah, it's kind of challenging because one of my BFF is in France. She has 3 kids. My friend and who's here, I'm here. And she's super calm now, so it will not last. She has a kid, so it's not that they do not want, but I think that sometimes they can be thrown away by the responsibility of obligation. And yes, yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. Well, We've gone over time, but it was a really
Mm.
great conversation. How do you feel about it?
I feel more clarity. I was kind of okay. I'm writing down because I really do my best now to write down. I write a lot, but to reread that, so, which I didn't do like that. So I put 5 minute me time because it's true that these last 2 weeks there were a lot of haha moments, and at least I want to keep it and yeah, evolve.
Great. Well, I hopefully that this gave you some clarity, as you said, some clarity and a way forward. And I look forward to hearing more about how this all turns out for you, Michelle.
Thank you very much, Betty.
You're welcome.
See you. Okay, so the questions were really good. I must admit, you really follow the protocol. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm looking for, but anyway, um, you summarize a lot, which was kind of good because it allows you to be sure that you understand what I was saying and to keep me on track also because I can I know that I have this tendency to be all over the place. I do my best this time to really stuck into that uh, because it's really a subject that's close to my heart and because yeah, I just want to be a better version of myself and yeah, you did the contract. It was really good. You explained to me what will be the purpose of the of the of the how you call that of the coaching of 15 minutes together. I didn't know that because, but it's true because you allow me to, you let me time to speak and to dig, and you ask other question in order for me to structure the coaching. Um, yeah, I think it was also interesting that maybe ask question that you asked a reality question was what is the optimum version of me look like. It would have been also good to ask for who's a model of optimal version of
Ah,
me.
good
Um,
point. Good point.
yeah, who's a version, but I'm not even sure that I will be able to answer. Uh, what else? Yeah, maybe do I? Where does that camp come from? But at the same time, it's like maybe it can be also interpreted as invasive as a question. Um, but yeah, and maybe why now?
Mm,
Why now? What am I looking for? Yeah, so that will be some of the question of the reality, maybe in order to provide me with a fuel, maybe, because sometimes to stay motivated in some of the change, indeed you have incentive, but I think that if you, especially with competitive commitments, you can think that some people will be like, oh, I want a raise. So maybe, but is the raise an incentive enough, or maybe he wants to achieve something else, be able to buy a house, be able to, so yes, have better benefits, increase his salary, but really know what motivates, why now? Why it wasn't an issue before and it is now? Yeah, that would be, yes, one of the questions that I would have asked.
good points. Thank you,
Yeah,
Michelle.
you're welcome. So I'm going to, uh, okay.